My older brother had a way of rewriting history so quietly that you almost believed the version he told everyone else. I used to think that if I just kept showing up, kept being the reliable one, the truth would eventually speak for itself. I was wrong about that for a long time. My name is Sophia Lang. I am 33 years old. If you have ever had someone take the help you once gave them and turn it into a debt you supposedly owe for the rest of your life, drop truth in the comments. I want to know I am not alone in this. The 2 week family getaway at the coastal cottage in North Carolina had been planned for months. My mother had found the listing, my father had wired the deposit, and my older brother Michael had sent the group text declaring it would be good for all of us to reset together. I had agreed because part of me still hoped that if we were all in one place, away from daily routines, maybe the small fractures I had been feeling for years would finally heal instead of widening. I was 2 hours into the drive when my phone rang through the car speakers. The name on the screen was Meg Ellison. Meg had been a close friend of my mother's for as long as I could remember. She lived year-round in a little house about 20 minutes from the cottage and had offered to drop off fresh linens and local restaurant recommendations before we arrived. I answered with the easy warmth I always used for her. "Hey Meg, we are almost there. You did not have to go to any trouble." Her voice came through a little rushed, like she was walking while talking. "Oh, honey, it is no trouble at all. I already left everything on the porch. Listen, I ran into Michael at the grocery store yesterday when he was picking up a few things early. He mentioned how generous you were being this year with the extra costs. Said you had insisted on covering the boat rental and the big grocery run because of everything he did to help your career get started back when you were just getting your footing. I thought that was so sweet of you, Sophia." He sounded really proud. The words landed like a stone dropped into still water. I kept my eyes on the road, but my hands tightened on the steering wheel. I had never agreed to cover any boat rental. I had never said I would pay for the bulk of the groceries, and the help Michael always referenced was actually the opposite of what he described. 5 years earlier, I had introduced him to a client of mine who ended up giving his small consulting business its first real contract. I had done it because he was my brother and I wanted to see him succeed. There had never been any talk of repayment, let alone ongoing financial debt. Meg kept chatting for another minute about the weather and the best crab cakes in town before we said goodbye. When the call ended, I sat in silence for a long stretch of highway, the sound of the tires on asphalt filling the car. I told myself it was probably just Michael exaggerating to sound generous in front of an old family friend. He had always liked to be seen as the one who lifted others up. By the time I pulled into the long gravel driveway of the cottage, the sun was low over the water. The house was exactly as the photos had promised: weathered grey shingles, wide porches on both levels, and a path that led straight down to a private stretch of beach. My mother and father were already there along with Michael and his wife Elizabeth. They had arrived the day before to get everything ready. I carried my suitcase up the steps. My mother met me at the door with a quick hug and the usual questions about the drive. My father gave me his standard pat on the shoulder. Michael was in the kitchen unpacking a box of wine. He looked up when I walked in and smiled the easy smile he used when other people were around. "Sophia, perfect timing," he said. "We were just talking about how we should split the cost for the boat we are renting tomorrow. Since you are the one with the flexible schedule right now, Elizabeth and I figured you would not mind covering the deposit in the first day. You know, after everything I did to get your name in front of the right people a few years back, it all worked out for you." He said it lightly, like it was already decided. Elizabeth nodded along without looking up from her phone. My father kept unpacking glasses as if he had not heard anything unusual. My mother smiled in that careful way she had when she wanted peace more than truth. I set my suitcase down slowly. "I do not remember agreeing to cover the boat, Michael." He laughed short and surprised, like I had told a joke. "Come on, we are all family here. You have done well for yourself. It is not a big deal for you to help out this week. Besides, without that introduction I made happen, you would not have had the client that got you the promotion. We both know that." The words were soft. The pressure underneath them was not. I felt the old familiar tightening in my chest, the one that always appeared when my brother rewrote the past in front of an audience and expected me to nod along. I did not argue right then. I carried my suitcase upstairs to the room my mother had assigned me and closed the door. For a long time, I just stood at the window watching the light fade over the water. I had come here hoping for rest. Instead, the first evening had already started to feel like every other family gathering I had attended in the last few years. Michael setting terms, everyone else quietly accepting them, and me left holding the bill in more ways than one. Later that night, after a dinner where the conversation stayed carefully on safe topics, I checked my phone. A message thread from the family group chat had been forwarded to me by mistake. It was from my father to Michael, sent earlier that afternoon. The preview line was visible without me even opening it. Sophia will cover the boat and the extras without pushing back. She still feels like she owes you after you helped her career. Keep reminding her gently. It works every time. I read it twice. Then I turned the screen off and set the phone face down on the nightstand. Outside the window, the ocean kept moving in its steady, unchanging rhythm. Inside the cottage, the house had gone quiet. Everyone else had gone to bed. I lay awake for a long time, listening to the sound of the waves and the low creak of the old wooden floor settling. The forwarded message sat in my phone like a stone I had not asked to carry. I had spent years telling myself that the small imbalances in my family were just the way things were, that love sometimes looked like quietly carrying more than your share. But the message made something clear that I had not wanted to name before. My brother was not simply asking for help, he was keeping a ledger I had never agreed to open, and my father was helping him balance it. The next morning, I woke early and walked down to the beach alone. The air was cool and sharp with salt. I watched the gulls wheel over the water and tried to decide what I was going to do with the knowledge I now held. I had never been the type to make scenes. I had always believed that if I stayed calm and reasonable, eventually the people I loved would meet me there. But the message in my phone suggested they had already decided how the rest of this vacation would go, and they had decided I would be the one paying for it in every sense of the word. I turned and started back toward the cottage. The sun was higher now, warming the weathered shingles. Somewhere inside, my brother was probably already planning the next family expense he would assign to me. My father would likely support it with the same quiet certainty he had shown in the text. I did not know yet how far they were willing to push. I only knew that the version of our family I had been protecting for years was not the one that existed in that forwarded message. And I was no longer sure I wanted to keep protecting it. The walk back to the cottage felt longer than the distance should have allowed. I kept turning Meg's casual words and the forwarded message over in my mind, looking for any reading that did not point to the same quiet arrangement between my brother and my father. By the time I reached the porch steps, the sun had climbed higher and the sound of voices drifted through the open windows. My mother was in the kitchen making another pot of coffee. My brother sat at the long wooden table with his laptop open, already dressed for the day, in a crisp polo and shorts. Elizabeth sat beside him, scrolling on her phone. My father stood at the counter, sorting through a stack of local brochures. Sophia, good you're up, my brother said, without looking away from his screen. The boat place needs confirmation by noon if we want the full day tomorrow. I went ahead and put it on your card, since you are the one who can absorb it right now. We can settle up later or not. You know how these family things go. He said it the same way he had the night before light and already decided. I set my empty mug on the counter and kept my voice even. I did not give you permission to use my card, Michael. He finally glanced up, eyebrows raised in mild surprise. It is just a deposit, $200. You make more in a week than that. And after I made sure you got in front of that client 5 years ago, the one who gave you the stepping stone to where you are now, I figured you would want to handle the fun parts this week. That is what family does. My mother stirred the coffee without turning around. My father kept sorting brochures. Elizabeth did not look up from her phone. The silence that followed was not uncomfortable for them. It was the kind of silence that had grown familiar over the years whenever my brother framed a request as a debt I already owed. I did not argue in the kitchen. Instead, I poured myself coffee and carried it out to the porch. The water was calm and bright under the morning sun. I sat in one of the wooden chairs and watched a small fishing boat move slowly along the horizon. For the first time in a long while, I let myself name what I had been feeling for months. It was not anger yet. It was the slow, cold recognition that the version of our family I had been protecting no longer matched the one I was living inside. Later that afternoon, Victoria Hayes called. She was my closest friend from college and the only person outside the family I had told about the trip. She worked in financial planning too and had a way of cutting through polite language with one clear question. I stepped away from the group and answered on the second ring. You sound off a thief, she said, after I gave her the short version of the boat conversation. What exactly is he claiming you owe him for this time? I told her about the client introduction years ago and how my brother had begun treating it like a permanent line of credit he could draw on whenever he wanted. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Sophia, that introduction helped him. It did not create your entire career. You built the rest yourself. Do not let him rewrite the math. Her words stayed with me through the rest of the day. I kept my responses short and my tone steady whenever my brother brought up another shared expense. By evening, the group had settled into the living room. My mother was reading. Elizabeth had gone upstairs early with a headache. My father and brother were reviewing the plan for the next few days, speaking in low voices near the fireplace. I wandered over to the built-in bookshelf that ran along one wall. The cottage owners had left a mix of old hardcovers and paperbacks, the kind of collection that accumulates over decades of summer renters. I pulled out a thick volume on coastal history, more for something to hold than to read. As I opened it, a folded piece of paper slipped from between the pages and drifted to the floor. I picked it up. The handwriting was my father's, the same careful block letters he used for notes and lists. The date in the corner was from almost 3 years earlier. I read it once, then again, standing very still in the soft lamplight. Michael, when Sophia pushes back on covering things, remind her gently about the client connection you made for her. She has always been the one who feels she has to repay family. Frame it as her turn to contribute now that she's doing well. It keeps things balanced without arguments. Your mother agrees this is the easiest way. There was no signature, only the familiar way my father ended notes to my brother. I folded the paper again and slipped it into the back pocket of my jeans. My hands were steady, but something inside my chest had gone very quiet. I returned the book to the shelf and walked back to the porch. The night air was cooler now, carrying the steady sound of the waves. Inside, my brother laughed at something my father said. The sound carried through the open door, ordinary and untroubled. I stayed outside until the lights in the living room dimmed and the house grew still. The note in my pocket felt heavier than paper had any right to feel. It was not dramatic, it was worse than that. It was practical. My father had written it the way he wrote grocery lists or vacation itineraries, as if guiding my brother on the most efficient way to manage me was simply another household task. The next morning, the weather turned overcast, the kind of grey that makes the ocean look heavier. My brother announced at breakfast that we should extend the boat day into a long weekend side trip to a smaller cabin he had found online about an hour up the coast. He said it would be good for all of us to have a change of scenery and that the extra cost would be minimal if we split it 4 ways, though. He looked directly at me when he said the word split. I did not answer right away. I looked at my mother, who was buttering toast with careful attention. I looked at my father, who was nodding as if the plan had already been discussed. Elizabeth was checking her phone again. I think I will sit this one out, I said finally. My voice stayed calm. I have some work calls I need to handle and the main cottage is already paid for. My brother set his fork down. For the first time since I had arrived, the easy smile slipped. That is not really how this week was supposed to go, Sophia. We are all here to spend time together. You cannot just opt out when it is convenient for you. After everything I have done to support your success, the least you can do is show up for the family parts. The words were still soft. The pressure beneath them had sharpened. My father did not look at me, but he did not disagree either. My mother kept her eyes on her plate. I stood up, carried my plate to the sink and rinsed it slowly. When I turned back around, my brother was watching me with an expression I had not seen on his face in years. It was not anger, it was the look of someone whose plan had encountered unexpected resistance. I am going for a walk, I said. We can talk more when I get back. I stepped out onto the porch and down the path toward the water. The note from my father was still in my pocket. Victoria's voice from the day before echoed in my mind. The forwarded message, Meg's accidental revelation, and now the handwritten instructions all pointed to the same quiet system that had been running underneath our family for longer than I had allowed myself to see. I did not know yet what I was going to do with any of it. I only knew that the version of me who had always absorbed the imbalance without question was no longer the person walking along that shoreline. The wind picked up off the water, cool and steady. Somewhere behind me, the cottage door opened and closed again. I did not turn around. For the first time in a long time, I let the silence between us stretch without rushing to fill it. The walk back felt different than the one the day before. I kept the folded note in my pocket like a small, heavy stone. When I stepped inside the cottage, the conversation in the living room stopped for a beat. My brother looked up from where he sat with my father. My mother was folding a blanket. Elizabeth stood near the window, phone in hand. My brother spoke first. We were just finalizing the details for the long weekend at the other cabin. It makes sense for all of us to go. The cost splits evenly if everyone contributes. You have the most flexibility right now, Sophia. After everything I did to open doors for you years ago, this is the least you can do to keep things balanced. He said it in front of everyone. The words were calm, almost reasonable. My father nodded, once the same quiet agreement he had shown in the note. My mother kept folding the blanket. Elizabeth glanced at me and then looked away. I walked to the center of the room and stopped. I did not raise my voice. I reached into my pocket, took out the folded paper, and placed it on the coffee table between us. I found this last night, I said. It is in your handwriting, Dad. It tells Michael exactly how to remind me of the client introduction, so I will keep paying for things without arguing. You wrote it like it was a normal family plan. The room went still. My father's face changed first, the color draining from it. My brother reached for the paper, but I kept my hand on it. My mother set the blanket down. Sophia, that was a long time ago. We were just trying to keep everyone happy. I looked at her. It was not that long ago. And it was not about keeping everyone happy. It was about making sure I kept covering costs by making me feel like I owed him something I never agreed to owe. My brother laughed, once short and sharp. You are making this into something it is not. That note was just Dad giving advice. You have always been sensitive about money. I helped you when you needed it. Now that you are doing well, it is your turn to step up. That is how families work. I kept my eyes on him. You introduced me to one client 5 years ago. I did the work after that. I built the rest. You have been using that single introduction to justify every expense you want me to cover ever since. The forwarded message from Dad last week said the same thing. You both decided I would pay because I would feel like I had to. Elizabeth shifted by the window. She looked at my brother, then at the note on the table, then back at me. She did not speak, but she took one small step away from where he sat. My father cleared his throat. Sophia, you are blowing this out of proportion. We are on vacation. Let us not ruin it with old papers and misunderstandings. I picked the note up again and folded it carefully. It is not a misunderstanding, it is a pattern, and I am done participating in it. My brother stood up. For the first time, the easy tone cracked. You cannot just decide to opt out when it is inconvenient. We planned this week together. If you refuse to contribute like the rest of us, then maybe you should not have come at all. The words landed, but they did not land the way he expected. I felt the old tightness in my chest loosen instead of tighten. I had spent years absorbing these moments because I believed love required it. The note and the messages had shown me the truth underneath that belief. I am staying for the rest of the week. I already paid for, I said, but I will not be covering the boat, the extra groceries, the side cabin, or anything else that gets assigned to me because of a debt I never agreed to. If that changes the plans, then the plans change. My mother sat down slowly on the edge of the couch. She looked at my father, then at my brother. She did not argue. Elizabeth moved farther from the table and sat in a chair by herself, her arms crossed. My brother stared at me for a long moment. Then he picked up his phone and walked out onto the porch. My father followed him a minute later. The door closed behind them. My mother stayed in the living room. After a while, she spoke without looking at me. Your brother has always been good at making things sound reasonable. I did not realize how much it had become this. I did not answer. There was nothing left to explain. The pattern had been named out loud in the room where it had been quietly running for years. The rest of the day moved slowly. My brother and my father stayed outside for a long time. When they came back in the conversation about the long weekend, cabin had stopped. No one brought up splitting costs again. Elizabeth kept to herself, speaking mostly to my mother in low voices. My father avoided my eyes. My brother tried once more at dinner to frame the whole thing as me being difficult, but the words landed flat. No one supported him the way they used to. Victoria arrived the next morning for the long weekend she had planned to join. I met her at the end of the driveway and told her what had happened. She listened without interrupting, then said simply, "You did the right thing by naming it." Now you get to decide what the rest of your time here looks like. I spent the remaining days on my own terms. I took walks alone. I read on the porch. I joined the group for meals when I chose to and left when the old pressure tried to return. My brother stopped assigning expenses to me. My father stopped nodding along. My mother and Elizabeth kept a careful distance from both of them. The family that had arrived together was no longer the same group by the time the 2 weeks ended. On the last morning, I packed my suitcase while the others were still at breakfast. I carried it to my car without fanfare. My mother came out onto the porch as I was closing the trunk. She hugged me quickly and said she was glad I had come. She did not ask me to stay longer. My father stayed inside. My brother did not come out at all. Elizabeth gave me a small wave from the window. I drove away from the cottage with the windows down. The salt air moved through the car. I did not feel triumphant. I felt lighter. The weight I had carried for years, the quiet agreement that my past kindness could be turned into an endless debt, was no longer mine to manage. Victoria met me for coffee 2 days later back home. She asked how I was feeling. I told her the truth. I had lost the version of family I had spent my life protecting. In its place, I had something smaller and clearer, the knowledge that respect has to exist before love can mean anything real. Without it, love becomes a transaction dressed up as loyalty. I have not spoken to my brother since that morning at the cottage. My father has sent one short text asking if I was still upset. I did not answer. My mother calls sometimes. The conversations are careful now, like she is learning a new language. Elizabeth has not reached out. I do not expect her to. Not. I still believe family can be a source of support. I also know it cannot be the only place I look for it. I have started planning a trip by myself next month, somewhere with water and no group chats. The money I would have spent covering expenses that were never mine will go toward that instead. If you are watching this and you have spent years quietly paying a debt someone else invented for you, I want you to know you are allowed to close the ledger. You do not have to keep the books balanced when the math was never fair to begin with. Respect is not optional, it is the ground everything else has to stand on. Thank you for staying with me through all of this.